I think it's only fitting to start this episode off just with a big, deep sigh, because, oh man.
Oh, you are teeing this up so good.
Enzo, to me, looks like a more agile, basically a young Chess Fabregas.
It's a Rolls Royce, man. Gotta sell it.
Messi is the Jorginho of international football. That was a dumb take.
The flag stays down!
Welcome to another episode of the Flag Stays Down podcast. Parker, words have never been truer said than you in our new intro of we need to start this episode out with a sigh. It's one of those weeks we're 4 matches in and we lose at home to Nottingham Forest 1-0. But before we get into the depressing part of the pod, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review. And you've got a full house tonight. You got me, Andy, you've got Matt, and you've got Parker. Parker, how you doing?
It was a tough Saturday. It was a bit of a depressing one, guys. Yeah, I would say the only highlight for me is the fact that I get to come here on a Sunday and I don't have to work on a Monday, with it being Labor Day weekend. So it just has that ability to put a damper on it. You know, we joked about last week when you went on a Friday and you're like, oh, what do we do with the rest of our weekend? We're all excited. And you lose on a Saturday morning, it sucks. I will say the other highlight was getting to go to the British Bulldog for the first game. It's fun going to my new stomping ground, my new supporters group where they all congregate, and most of the Premier League fans congregate. So it's a smaller pub that shows all the games in Denver. So it's fun. It was good to at least, misery loves company, at least commiserate with some of the fellow fans that were feeling some of the same frustrations. Some who were reminding me that it is a project, and others that were down in beers and just kind of pissed off at the world. So there's a wide range of emotions that are going on in the fan base. But so I alluded to this earlier, but I don't know which side I'm in. I kind of go back and forth with where my head's at. Am I bought into the project? Am I pissed off that it's not better? So I'll end the intro there. Matt, I think you had more of an eventful weekend than me. How are you doing?
Doing good. Yeah, we left to go up north to my wife's side of the family. So we went up Friday to Appleton, and then Saturday got up and then had to time it with the kid so that he takes his long nap. Once he's about ready to fall asleep, get the car loaded, get him in there, get everybody ready to go, and then head up north to my wife's brother's cabin. So we were up there all of Saturday, came back to Appleton Saturday night, and just got back from Appleton this afternoon. So very, very busy weekend. Wife and the kid are fighting off a bit of a cold right now. So just being around for them and hanging out. I did watch the game today, later in the afternoon. So it's easier to watch when you know the result. You kind of take things in a little bit more perspective as opposed to knee-jerk reactions when watching the game. So I am very grateful that for once I didn't have to endure that. It was you guys that had to endure it. So, but all in all, you know what? We're here. It's Sunday. Collins. Just vibes. How were you?
Fuck you. No, Matt dropped the vibes on me as I was ranting about the game shortly after on Saturday. So that fuck you's been a long time coming, Matt. Yeah. No, I'm good. I recovered. I'll take full responsibility. I brought the wife to Highbury on Saturday. She never goes. In fact, I think she's gone 3 times and they've lost all 3 times. So Nicole, if you're listening, you're no longer invited. So yeah, it was, it was depressing, especially seeing on the other TVs, City bashing Fulham and Spurs bashing Burnley, and then there we are with 80% possession and 20 shots and losing at home 1-0. But we recovered. Aiden and I went down to the Illinois Railway Museum, and he's big into trains, so it was good seeing a big smile on his face the rest of the day. So that made the weekend better. So doing a little bit better now, and now I get to talk to you guys. Like you guys said, it's a great Sunday evening. So let's get into it. Before we talk about that Nottingham Forest loss, just real quickly, Chelsea did beat Wimbledon 2-1 in midweek. For those of you who weren't able to see it, which is everyone. Game wasn't played behind closed doors, had a full crowd, but nowhere in the world was able to pick it up for TV broadcasts. So did Enzo score his first Chelsea goal? I guess we'll never know. It's 2023. Should all games in English, I'll keep it to English because I can't say all soccer games because I don't want to see games in Azerbaijan or stuff like that. But at least when you have multi-billion worth teams playing, don't you think they should be on TV a little bit?
Yeah, I think it's a great sentiment to show how far we've come. The fact that this is this baffling. Collins, you've been following the club and the sport longer than Matt and I have. And I'm sure blackout games and games that you can't get or can't get on a reliable stream or have to find random ass, virus ridden streams to watch, all the above. It kind of does show how far we've come, that when Chelsea isn't broadcast anywhere in the world, not even just the US. If it's just the US, I get it. But not anywhere in the world. The English fans can't watch it either. It's shocking that in today's day and age that's the case. So it's just a bummer. And it's funny because I couldn't watch the game anyway. I didn't even tell you guys this. I was traveling for work. I couldn't watch the game. I was still pissed. I was like, what the fuck? It just, how is this a thing? I just don't get it. I can't comprehend it. And I feel like with internet streaming platforms like YouTube TV getting into sporting events as well, Hulu Live Sports, whatever it is, right? Name any company couldn't broadcast the game. It was quite alarming and shocking, but good to see the boys pull off a win. Good to see Enzo hypothetically get his first goal. I still haven't seen it, and I didn't see him have his shooting boots on against Nottingham Forest either. So I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I think it's more of a, not to specify to Chelsea, the fact that teams in England are playing in this tournament, which for a lot of these smaller clubs and these lower level clubs, these are massive tournaments, some of the only tournaments that they're going to play. And when you're hosting a big team like a Premier League team, you want to see that, you want to show that. That's just bad overall. Like for a lot of these small teams, this is probably the biggest stage that a lot of them are probably ever going to play on. And you can't show it for whatever reason. I think it's asinine that nobody picked it up. Not even in England. If it's just in England, like Sky Sports picked it up, like that's fine. I can understand that. But nobody, that's bad. So they need to figure something out for that, especially with how far and all of, Parker, like you said, all the streaming platforms that you can watch games on. ESPN Plus, NBC, you look at beIN Sports, like so many different options for watching soccer across the world, and you can't even get this tournament in your home area to be able to view it. I don't understand it.
Yeah, I had to watch it, or watch bits and pieces of it. I was picking up my son from school, but I was watching bits and pieces off someone holding up a smartphone on Twitch. That's how I watched bits and pieces, and it was terrible. And Parker, you hit the nail on the head. I didn't even think about it, as far back as I've been watching Chelsea, but I guess now I'm feeling kind of spoiled because I remember a day when it was Fox Soccer Channel, and they would broadcast 2 games a weekend. Yeah, if you liked a smaller club, the only time you would see them is if they were playing United or Arsenal or Liverpool or Chelsea. And even watching Chelsea, it was maybe every other weekend. So now I feel bad.
It's progress, though. I mean, you can look back and appreciate what you did in the old days, but it shows you where we are today. It shows how far we've come, how much the sport's grown, the type of coverage that we're used to getting, even in the FA Cup, even in the League Cup. Like, we still get pretty top tier type of coverage and analysis, and it's not just us stream. There's still commentary. Like, you take that stuff for granted, right? I've watched a lot of games without commentary because it's not a nationally televised game, so you're just watching. And it's a testament to how far the sport's gone and come.
All right, well, turning to the Nottingham Forest game. Again, 1-0 loss at home, 4th match of the year. And there are already questions being asked, not only of the club, basically every part of the club, from Todd Bowley and Begdad Bali, all the way down to the players. I think it's a little bit too early to be, ringing the alarm on this season. And I know that's weird coming from me, considering where we were at last year. But I think there are some questions about how this result happened, because it's not something that should be happening when you look at the match on paper. And something a lot of people have been pointing at has been the tactics, the formation, right? Chilwell playing on the left wing, playing with the back 5. Do you guys see those as being some of the issues, or no?
I mean, pick anywhere you want to start. That's kind of what it seems like. It seems like you could pick apart a lot of different scenarios. I don't know. I think I don't want to use it as an excuse, but I do still think these injuries are hampering what we're able to do. A lot of big losses, especially on the defensive side, with Reese, Benoit, Fofana, all out. It definitely makes things tough. The 3-headed midfield, it's taken time. Obviously, Caicedo just came in, so he's kind of coming into the fold, still trying to figure out some things. I guess the biggest gripe that I kind of have is in the midfield a little bit. And the only reason why I say that is because it seems like everybody is so interchangeable, like they're changing all the time, that at certain points they get lost. So when I was watching for the first 20 minutes or so, I really didn't see much of Caicedo. I didn't really hear him a lot. I didn't know if he was playing on the left, if he was playing the holding, if he was supposed to be that N'Golo Kante style all the way up top. I didn't know. Connor is, obviously back and forth. I think he's more of a box to box type. And Enzo, he's playing up, but then all of a sudden he's coming all the way back and playing that number 6. And then he's playing on the left side, then on the right side. I just don't know if they know who's supposed to take over where. It seems like we have 3 very adaptable midfielders, 3 very capable midfielders. And it's like, okay, it's your turn to do this. Okay, now it's your turn. Now it's your turn. Is it my turn or your turn? That's what it seems like. I don't know if that's planned that way, but it seems like it just gets a little bit lost as far as who's supposed to be back, who's supposed to be forward, who's supposed to be holding, all that stuff. That's where I kind of wish there was some clarity. But again, that's one of many problems that I see right now.
Matt, I was going to start with injuries as well. It's something that people forget about, but I mean, Carney Chukwuemeka, Reece James, Christopher Nkunku, Wesley Fofana, Benoit Badiashile, Armando Broya, Trev Chalobah, and Marcus Bettinelli all missed the game. And Mudryk is just coming back from a knock. This was his first game back. It's an impressive, staggering list of players, hundreds of millions of dollars worth of players on that injury list. And we're still a brand new team. I think even if we had everyone back, there would still be some growing pains with this team. We're still figuring things out. We still have a new manager. We still have effectively a U22 team or a U23 team, with the exception of Thiago Silva and Ben Chilwell. It's a U23 team. It's ridiculous. So that's where I come first. But if I have to pick apart tactics, I would aim towards two things. I would aim towards our left side, seems fairly non-existent, and part of the problem, but also part of it is I think Enzo's playing too far forward. I think he plays better in like a holding 10 or just like a distributing 10, but he's going too far forward, and I just don't think it suits his game to where we want to play. If everyone's firing at all cylinders, I think he plays back a little bit more in the middle of the pitch, box to box. So those are my two things I would sort of pick out. I don't think the goal was Sanchez's fault, but I still haven't seen him make a save, which is tough to see your goalie just kind of be helpless. Again, I'm not blaming him, but at some point he's got to come up with the save. And when was the last time we had a goalie that made saves that we weren't expecting? And I'll answer my own question. It was Edouard Mendy in one game. Like, when was the last time we were just like wowed with saves? Wowed with. And we have it happen to us all the time where goalies stand on their head and they make saves that they're quote not supposed to make, or just holy shit saves. We don't make saves, period. So this was a frustrating one for me. It was a frustrating vibe at the bar, and it was just with 20 minutes left, I don't have much faith in our team to pull it out. I said this to you guys a couple of weeks ago. I don't know what our team is made of yet. I don't know if our team has the cojones or the gonads to go out and get a goal. Like what's our DNA? So far we haven't proven to be able to do that.
Yeah, and I think the telling thing there, Parker, is we had 20 shots. We had an XG of 2, which for that amount of shots is terrible. It means that we're not putting in decent, we're not putting the ball on goal, basically, is what the story is there. And so one of the big things for me is just the hesitancy to pull the trigger, right? You see all these other clubs we play against that sit back and park the bus, and then they get their one shot and they take that shot, right? There's no trying to find the perfect pass. There's no trying to find that perfect dribble past the keeper. There's no there's no strive for perfection there. It's as simple as I have ball goes in goal. And so you see players like Nicholas Jackson, Raheem Sterling a couple times. Conor Gallagher was guilty a couple times. Noni Madueke in this match was hella guilty of that, of just not pulling the trigger, right? You got some space, pull it. You might as well. And I will quote the great Michael Scott, who says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take. Wayne Gretzky, Michael Scott. We're just not making efficient decisions there. But Parker, that was just in response to you. That wasn't even my big takeaway. My big takeaway was that we need some variety in the attack. Remember when we were bitching about it last year of, hey, everything just goes to Reece James and then hope he makes magic. We're still doing that. It's not with Reece James, but we're still doing it. It's that right side. Everything has to go down the right side. And I understand Raheem Sterling is in form. He's looked good the first couple matches of this year. But what are we doing with Ben Chilwell on the left? I don't understand that at all, especially when you have Noni on the bench. Now, granted, Cole Palmer was not going to start in this one, but he's an option. Mudryk was available, but from what I read, to play a full 90 in this one. We've even seen Connor Gallagher play on the wing last year under Graham Potter. We have options there. But with Chilwell on the left and playing this weird back 5, back 4 something hybrid, we saw literally nothing go through the left. And I sent you guys the heat map, the passing heat map. Ben Chilwell in the match had 39 touches in 60 minutes. Cole Palmer in 29 minutes had 46. Now, granted, Palmer was playing more centrally, but you gotta expand both ways, right? And it's just like in football, where you can't just air raid, throw down the field all the time. Like, you got to incorporate the running game, even if it's not working. You got to incorporate it, because then you make the defense think. We pounded that right side, and Forest just stuck in, shifted and stuck in. We need an option on that left to alleviate pressure on the right. And so that's my biggest takeaway, is the tactics need to change. This is now 4 straight matches of this. And their coach needs to make some changes here.
I think so. As quasi defense attorney for Chilwell, and Collins, I completely agree with you. I don't think he should be playing in the left wing. He's too far forward, and we've seen ourselves get burned way too many times this early in the season with that quasi back 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, whatever it is, right? Chill's playing all the way up. I don't like it. I don't think it's a full utilization of what he can do. I think right now, I don't know who else you have that's capable of being able to put that ball into the box as well as Chilwell usually does. We've seen, I would prefer Mudryk be out there. Let me just be very clear on that. But we've also seen, Mudryk kind of just does his thing on the left and he almost gets isolated. So I don't think it's necessarily a matter of like who plays out there. I think it's more of kind of what you said. We need to utilize both sides of the pitch. And that kind of ties into what I was saying with the midfield, because I think on that side, at least early on in the game, Caicedo was over on the left predominantly more. Chilwell wasn't getting the ball. I mean, you can't do much if you're not getting the ball. And there were times where he was open and he did have some good opportunities and crossed in a few balls. Yeah, he missed that one with his right, but at least when he does get a chance to go forward and has the ball, he usually does at least produce something that people can get on the end of. So I don't want to say like I don't mind it, but it's not a bad option, but it's not our best option. I guess that's kind of what I'm trying to get at. I would prefer to see Mudryk out there, somebody who is predominantly that left wing position and not a left wing back trying to be a left wing.
Yeah, Matt, I agree with you there. Shocker. But Chilwell's best position is not left wing. I like Ben Chilwell. I think he's a great left wing back. And that's where he thrives, when there's someone occupying the defender on the left. Chills can make that overlap. Chills can make that even invert and cut inside. But he needs somebody to free up that space for him. Because as soon as he's in the box, he's fine. Something needs to happen there. And I know there's a lot of people talking about, we did a whole preseason of a back 4. We're now 4 matches in playing a pretty consistent back 5. Although Thiago Silva will have something to say about that. Is there anything in that argument of, back five versus back four?
I think a lot could happen with a back four that has more sort of defined, less overlapping on our flanks, and more like four defenders that don't go too far over midfield. I think we're getting torched. I think everyone's creeping forward and forward and forward, and then in the counterattack game, we just, or turnover in the middle of the park game, we just get worked. And I don't want to blame Thiago Silva, but Thiago Silva is older, and when you only have three that stay home, it opens things up. And you know, I mentioned when we watched the Luton match, they had breaks that went and nothing kind of came of it because Luton wasn't able to capitalize. But I'm watching this, like, our defense is holy. There's a lot of space to get in on us, and a team that can execute, he can take advantage of it. And now we're starting to see it. We saw goals conceded with West Ham, with Liverpool, you know, Nottingham Forest. We're conceding a lot of goals, and it's not fun to watch. So, you know, we need to figure out a way to shore that up. And I think less overlap has the ability to do it. The problem that we've always had with that is some of our best attacking play comes from those overlaps, comes from our wing backs with Reece James and Ben Chilwell and Marcus Alonso. And like a lot of our historic best attacking has come from that. And I think we might have to shift away from that because we've got bigger issues. And I think we have the ability to attack still while running a back four. So you're conceding a bit, but you're shoring up your defense and then still find ways to score.
I think the offense, and obviously again it's preseason, the offense just looked more fluid in preseason with a back four. You know, you're coming into this match against Nottingham Forest, who were close to being relegated last year. They've bought 7,000 new players. You know, they're disjointed. And we come in with a very conservative back five. You know, Chilwell, Colwill, Silva, Disasi, Gusto. You've got Caicedo, who's defensive minded in there as well. And so in terms of attacking options, it's really just Raz and Nicholas Jackson. Again, against a team that you know is going to park the bus, a team that you know is going to concede possession, because A, they're playing away at your ground, and B, they're butt, basically. Like they're just trash. So it bothers me that we came into this with such a conservative lineup. You know, I think this would have been one where Thiago Silva and Disasi, or Silva and Colwill, actually any combination of that back three, you know, pick two of them. I think you're fine in this match. You know, what do we have? 70% possession. They weren't doing much to begin with.
So who would you have started? You picked two center backs, and then who else are you starting?
It would have been Silva, Colwill, Chilwell, Gusto as a back four. I like the midfield. I like the Gallagher, Caicedo, and Enzo. And like Matt said, I would have put Mudryk out on the left there, especially if he was cleared to play. You know, Mudryk, Jackson, and Sterling, I think, is a very dynamic front three.
I think that creates so many more options too. And you don't give up a ton. You give up an extra person to pass to when you have 80% possession. That's what you give up. I think we're all right with that.
Well, one player I do want to give credit to here is one that I mentioned, and that's Malo Gusto. In the absence of Reece James, who has been, I hate to use the term franchise player because we're not the franchise, but you know, in the absence of Mr. Chelsea himself, Reece James, Malo Gusto has stepped up, and at least in my opinion, from what I've seen out of these first four matches, has been fantastic down that right hand side. You know, we've seen the right hand side and some of these bigger teams struggle. Looking at Manchester United, a little bit at Arsenal there, but Malo Gusto has stepped in and hit the ground running. There's been no adjustment period from him from what I've seen. So I just wanted to real quick give props to Malo Gusto.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, Matt, one one of yours and mine, and sure Parker's too, is favorite things is the Wando, Chris Wondolowski at the World Cup, missing over the bar from point blank range. We had our own Wando moment this weekend, and that was Nico Jackson skying the ball. What would have been the equalizer late on. Jackson has earned quite a bit of plaudit from the media, from fans, for his work ethic, for the runs he makes, for the kind of behind the scenes stuff that he does. But he's only got one goal to show for it so far this year. What do you guys make of Nico Jackson's first month at the club?
Hold the shorts down and stop getting stupid fucking yellow cards for trying to tell the ref to give somebody a yellow. It's the second time he's done it. Let's be honest. It was not a yellow. Like, that pisses me off. It's something so stupid. You know, it's a new rule. Why? We don't have another attacking option up top right now. It's 5 yellows, and that's a game suspension. He's already at 2, maybe 3. I don't know how many yellows. I think 2. Yeah, and both for trying to tell the ref to card somebody. It's pointless. It annoys the hell out of me for cheap shit like that. Now, as far as his work ethic and everything like that, like, yeah, we know he can go for days. We know he's got no problem just giving hell to defenders and just being a dog out there. That's perfectly fine. I still think it's early. Yes, he had a very good preseason. But again, it was preseason. It's still early. He's still, 21, 22? First season in the Premier League. I think he'll adjust and settle in. He's already got his 1 goal, which is a good start. It's unfortunate. He's gonna catch a lot of flack for that, but I mean, with this game, you kind of expected it with the way things were. You just kind of were like, nah, yeah, looks and sounds about right. So I don't think it's anything to be worried about. Just pull your shorts down and stop getting stupid ass yellow cards.
Matt, I want to apologize real quick. I gave you the 2 for yellow cards. It is 3. I forgot he got one in the Liverpool match. Yeah. So you were right.
I disagree. Pull the shorts up. I'm here for it all day. The problem with Nico Jackson is until anyone in the Premier League is afraid of anyone else's shooting boot on Chelsea, he's going to get all of the attention. He's got guys consistently touching him. He won't have a whiff of free air, and nor should he. I mean, if you're reading the scouting report, he's the guy you take away, and it's like anything, right? Take away the best player, and what else you got? How deep are you? I'm not afraid of anyone else scoring. Like at this moment, who's gonna put the ball away for Chelsea? Ben Chilwell. Hopefully, Matt, for you, right? I mean, I don't look at the team that we played, and I mean, aside from Raheem Sterling, who's got a couple, like there's just really no one that can consistently put the ball in the net. So he's going to get a lot of attention. It's deserved attention, and people are going to try to frustrate him. Liverpool did it really well. They kind of just sandwiched him. They stuck 2 center defenders between them at all times. Couldn't get ahead on any ball. But I like Nico Jackson. I think his work rate is fantastic. I like that he is in the matches. He gives 110%. He pushes hard. And you know what? He got unlucky with the one. It looked like one where it was almost harder to miss than it was to score. We all saw it. It's a bang bang play, and he's in the right spot. I believe he'll, over time he converts 90% of those. So it was the one miss, unfortunately, and we sure could have used it, right? So it's going to have a magnifying glass on it. But until we get either some of these guys back or someone that can take some pressure off of them, I think it's going to be hard for him to score. And as a center forward, that's your job. It's going to be frustrating for him. So he's going to have to work through some stuff. But I like what I see. I still saw him work very hard all match. And, I know he doesn't get paid in with work rate, but when Chelsea's not scoring much, you have to evaluate something. And so far, I've liked his movement, liked his work rate. He needs to sort his feet a little bit more. And yeah, he's also guilty of not always pulling the trigger when he should. But the thing I like is he's also not really like quick to pass. He's not afraid to take people on with his feet. So it's a super underrated skill that we haven't seen in a really long time in Chelsea. So I like that too.
Yeah, I think the thing to remember with him is that he's 22, right? He broke into Villarreal's first team. Let's see, it was about 3 months into last year. So he's got about a full year of first team football under his belt here. My one, I guess, but besides not pulling the trigger soon enough, my biggest issue with him is his touch. His touch just doesn't seem to be there at the moment. Preseason, his touch looked fantastic, really, right? He was bringing balls down left and right. This year is his touch, or not this year, this past month, his touch has been off. And yeah, looking through the Premier League stats, there's a stat called unstable touches. It's poor touch that leads to a turnover. He's leading the league with 5 per match. The top 5: Dominic Solanke, Eberici Eze, Matheus Cunha, and Jared Bowen. So it's not great company to be in. But Parker, like you said, his work rate is great. I don't want to make this comparison already, but he's reminding me of Timo Werner, where he's passing the eye test, right? He's doing everything he should be doing, looks great out there, but he can't convert that final ball. I hope he's given more of a leash than Timo was, because I think the potential's there, and especially again, 22, he's young, right? So I think there's room for improvement there.
Please God be wrong on that one. just for all of our sake, because you're right. There are some definite similarities with how we talked about Timo liking what we saw, but never seen the end product. I hope this project has more legs.
Yeah, and let's talk about the project a little bit here. At Highbury this weekend, I heard some calls for Pochettino to be sacked. Make some changes or get out. There seems to be some restlessness among Chelsea fans. Now, a year and a month into the project, quote unquote, where do you put where we're at? Are you still on board? Do you think another change needs to be made? Like, where do you guys sit on Project Restart? We'll call it.
So I was hoping you were going to bring this up, Collins, because I did want to mention this, because now as a Colorado native, I try to tune into the sporting scene a little bit, out here. And there's a team out here in Boulder, Colorado, plays American football with the throws, not the feet. And they hired Coach Prime to do a bit of a restart, do a bit of a rebuild, and try to make a team that wasn't in the picture, part of the picture. And they go down to TCU and beat the team that took second last year. So with some swag and against all the odds, and I know it's definitely not the parallel to Chelsea, but shows you what you can do, right? And in modern sports, where you can kind of take a team that hasn't been there and do some rebuilds, shift the mentality, get called stupid, get called whatever, go against the buck and get some stuff done, right? And shock the world a little bit. So it's definitely not the parallel, but it's cool to see, and it makes the team relevant. I mean, they're going to sell out every game now. If they already hadn't, ticket prices were already high before this happened, but if they go into TCU and get smoked, tickets fall, right? It's just, now it's going to be must-see TV. And I wish we had a little bit of that swagger I wish we had a little bit of that special sauce that you can kind of walk in and have people fear you, because I think they're going to have some of that now. But where I am with the project, this is what I alluded to in the intro, where I go back and forth. I don't know what side of this project I'm on, because it's hard. I look at this team and it looks to be on paper built for the next 10 years, as we say. The problem is if you looked at our team 3 years ago, you saw Christian Pulisic, Timo Werner, Kai Havertz, Mason Mount. You said Chelsea's building a team for the next 10 years. We saw how that worked, right? And that's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of some or all of these guys not panning out to be exactly what we thought they were. And just because they're young and ambitious and talented today doesn't mean they're going to fit into the system long term. I think Poch is doing a fine job managing expectations and doing some stuff, but I think right now is where we have to see some change. Doesn't seem that what we're doing is working. We're 1-1-2 to start the season, so not good enough. I'm not expecting to come out and be 5-0 to start the season, but 1-1-2 or 4-0 to start the season. 1-1-2 is not good enough for Chelsea. It's just simply not. And the performances that we've seen in the 2 losses and the 1 draw haven't been good. They've been poor. One thing I was going to mention earlier, I'm sorry for the long rant. One thing I was going to mention earlier is it was either last season or 2 seasons ago where it just seemed like everyone had wonder strikes against us, where they're just scoring 38-yard screamers to draw or to win matches. That's not the case this year. I could live with that, right? Because I could live with someone having their best day in a 10-year career against Chelsea to pull off the miracle. It's not what it is. The goals that we've conceded have been easy, and they've been sloppy, and they've been just to your point, Collins. They've been people just ball, net, simple, clinical, no questions asked. Those types of goals, and those are hard to concede for us because people are still going to have great goals against us too. So you're going to see those numbers climb up, and that's what worries me about the project. Still have faith, but I'm trending into negative, just of my outlook of the season and outlook of the team. Not to blow it up, but just what I'm watching hasn't been good enough.
Unfortunately, with a team this young and needs time, a preseason and 4 matches isn't enough time, especially when you bring in big, high-profile moves right at like the start of the season. That can drastically change your lineup and your tactics. I don't know. It's just something to just hang in there, right? It's going to do one of 2 things. It's either going to get better or it's going to get worse. And I'm hoping it gets better. Obviously, we're not expecting to run the table or anything like that. Some of our matches, they haven't been great. And we just have looked not like we've expected us to look. But again, that's preseason us versus regular season us. Things are amped up significantly once the regular season starts. There's not much we can do as fans of the club, but just kind of sit back and wait and see how things pan out. But I think we have the right pieces. And I just think it's a matter of solving that puzzle. And I think once we do, then we're going to be able to show why, what we are and how we're going to be built going forward.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing to remember with this, and it's something that I struggle with. I was very, very irritated. We'll say it nicely, very irritated after yesterday's game. But after thinking about it and after looking at this squad, the squad has an average age of 22 and a half years. We're the youngest team in the Premier League. Now, we are so used to watching Chelsea and it being, these are some of the best players in the world. They're all representing their national teams. They're all in their prime, right? So at least my thought process after 20 years of watching that is, hey, these guys are all 26, 27, 28, when logically I know that they're not. So it's been a struggle for me so far to say, hey, we're Parker, like you said, we're playing with a U23 team at this point. Our two oldest players are the two players over the age of 25 or 26 are Raheem Sterling at 28 and Thiago Silva, who's like 108. So you take those two out, and then all of a sudden, your team is probably 21, right? So as much as it sucks, as terrible as it is, we're gonna go through growing pains. We're gonna have those bumps in the road where the immaturity shows through. And that's what I racked this Nottingham Forest game up to at the end of the day. Yes, there's tactical issues. Yes, there's, pulling the trigger issues and, all of that. But at the end of the day, it's a hiccup. This team is young. This team is young and doesn't they haven't experienced that. We just talked about Nico Jackson and how he only has a year of first team football under his belt, right? But I will say I wasn't saying this about a month into Potter's reign last year, but I am saying it now a month into Pochettino's reign. We have the right guy. You look at what Pochettino has done in the past with Espanyol. He took a team that was consistently relegation challenged and made him into a Europa League, consistent every year Europa League team. Southampton came in and righted the ship there, right, earning about 1.5 points a season, which is fantastic for Southampton. And then Spurs, he took Spurs to a Champions League final. He took them within a couple points of winning the league on a couple different occasions. And his first season there, they almost had as many losses as they did wins. Right. So I think there's room for improvement, and we have a guy who is going to develop these players so that when they are in their prime, we're like, hey, this was worth it. So it's going to suck. It's going to suck. It's unfortunately something we got to wrap our heads around this season.
It's just the big worry that we've seen is can he survive? Can he buy enough confidence to keep his job? Because the arrows aren't out yet. You're starting to see them, but they're not fully out yet. Once the media starts going after you, once the fan base turns on you, it's a ruthless fan base. And once you lose that, like, can you come back? How much time is he gonna get? Is it 2 months? Is it 5 months? Is it a year? Like, I hope, and you know what? I hoped for Graham Potter too. I hoped he had a leash. I hope he had that the management or the owners said, this is our guy, we trust it. They said it over and over and over again until he wasn't. I fully bought in more to Poch than I was to Potter. Like, as a manager, I like him more. But we've seen this happen, and I'm afraid of what happens when things aren't good and when things go bad quickly. Because we're a results-driven club. We're not a project-driven club. Simple as that.
And I think it's something where Boley needs to stay off Twitter. There are a couple times last year we saw him jumping in spaces about transfers and stuff like that. The fan base is very reactionary, and we certainly are guilty of that as well. We're reactionary every single week with the goal of buying into the project. But I think that it's something where we need to stay rational, right? Because the other thing you need to look at, we've had 19 players make an appearance for us this season. 13 of them made their Chelsea debut in 2023. There hasn't been, this isn't Liverpool. They've all been together for 7 years. This isn't, I hate to say Manchester United, but Manchester United, they've all been together for a long, long time. This is a brand new team. This is an MLS expansion team. So I think you got to think of it more like FC Cincinnati, where they were just god fucking awful for a year. And then the next year they make the playoffs. And then the next year they are I think they're on pace to win their supporter shield this year. So, man, what a way to talk about Chelsea comparing to FC Cincinnati. All right, well, boys, let's turn to the polls here. There wasn't one for the Wimbledon game because no one saw it, so nothing happened. But we'll start with our man of the match poll. Caught a lot of heat in this one. Had 3 +1 options for your man of the match: Malo Gusto, Raheem Sterling, Moises Caicedo, or other, and all of the other write-ins were no one. So, Matt, we'll start with you. Where are you going?
Home. Caicedo, no, for me. Just kind of watching it, I don't know. If anybody, I would have to almost default to Enzo. I thought that he actually played a halfway decent game comparative to everybody else. I would say you could have a good crack at either Enzo or Raz as your man of the match.
Yeah, classic. For me, it's classic. Best out of the 11 for me was Enzo. Best over expectations is Malo Gusto, but that's not what this is. This isn't expectations or exceeding expectations. It's who's the best out of the 11. For me, it was Enzo.
First of all, Matt, you and I are going to fight about Moises Caicedo this year. I can tell already.
Probably.
Oh, man. All right. I'm not going to derail that. We'll save that for Pod After Dark that no one actually listens to. Malo Gusto was mine. Like I said earlier, he has balled out these last month or so. And I thought he had another really good match in this one. Malo Gusto was your winner with 40% of the vote. Raheem Sterling in second with 24. No one / other, you guys included with Enzo at 20%, and then Caicedo at 16. So I'm turning to our man of the Get the Fuck Out of Here award. The worst thing or idea or person or place or whatever it happens to be from that match, and Lord knows there was a lot of them. These I was winging it. I was angry at the time, so I apologize for some poor ones here. But Chilwell at left wing, Noni's turnovers, the officiating, or Steve Cooper's face.
Worst part of the game was me was Chills. I actually don't think it was a poorly officiated game, but I don't blame the officials. I think that the result that happened was 100% our fault. Even though it wasn't the greatest officiated game, it was our performance on the pitch.
I'm gonna go with Steve Cooper. He has the same look every single time. Like he just landed a job. He looks like kind of like full Ted Lasso, where like he doesn't know what he's doing there. Like he just got beamed to the sideline. He's just kind of like he has no idea what's going on. So yeah, Steve Cooper.
Steve Cooper was a close second for me. I'm going to go with the officiating. Parker, like you said, it didn't cost us the game. Neither did Steve Cooper's face, Matt. But the officiating was just god awful. This whole, we go from last year where it's everything that, Chelsea touches somebody, it's a foul, to this year, anyone touches anyone and it's just let them play. Like, unless someone's dying on the ground, let them play. Like, it's not good for the game. I understand that they want to keep like the action going, so to speak. They don't want as much dead time. But I'm okay with just adding that on to the end. Like, I have no problem with that. But to allow teams like Nottingham Forest to park the bus and then deliberately slow play, like, just it bothers the hell out of me. I forgot who the ref was. Robinson? Was it Tony
Robinson? His first Premier League game.
Yeah, he's on my shit list now.
To point it out, I forgot about this. When there's 3 minutes of stoppage for a just for the ref to have his headset fixed, and then there's only 3 minutes added on at the end of the first half. I have a serious problem with that.
I'm pretty sure it was Howard Webb. No, not Howard Webb. It was Anthony Taylor was the fourth official, which was even better. Love that guy. But Parker, you win this one. The people voted Chilwell at left wing as the winner. Officiating came in second. Steve Cooper's face in third. Noni's turnovers in fourth. So you can always catch those polls at the end of every match, as long as that match is broadcast somewhere in the world. Make sure to go to X or Twitter and follow us at FlagDownPod for those polls. Boys, it's pushing up against the hour mark here. Any closing thoughts?
No.
Keep on keeping on.
I like Parker's better.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
All right. Well, before we close up shop here, make sure to subscribe, rate, and review to the Flag Stays Down podcast, wherever you get your podcasts. I did see we get a couple new ratings this week on Spotify. Keep those coming. It's just as easy as clicking the little star. Make sure you click the one all the way to the right, because that's 5 stars. Make sure to follow us on social media. Like I said, you can follow us on Twitter/X at FlagDownPod. You can also follow us on Threads, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff. We're all there at FlagDownPod. Boys, happy international break. And hopefully we'll be better coming out of it.